It's a new day at Matt HQ, and we have a fun one. All right. There are 36 former NBA MVPs in league history. Now, about four of those guys, Giannis, SGA, Embiid, Jokic, are still in their prime. So, what I really narrow it down to is there's pretty much 32 guys in the past that won an MVP in their prime that are currently not in the league or in the league but not in their prime. So here's what we're doing. We're going to put them all on a wheel. We're going to spin that wheel. We're going to get a random player. Then we're going to have another wheel with every current NBA team on it. We're going to spin the player wheel. We're going to get a player. Then we're going to spin the team wheel and we're going to get a team. Whichever player we get is going on the current version of that team. So if we spin for Hakeem Olajuwon and we spin for the Spurs, guess what? Wemby and Olajuwon are going to be playing together, and then we're going to sim it and we're going to see. We're going to put we're going to put 30 of the MVPs on 30 of the teams. So that means there will be a few MVPs that don't get put on a team because we have a few left over. But overall, every team is getting a prime version of a former MVP. We're going to sim it out. We're going to see what happens. So let's go ahead and jump in to the wheel. All right. We have the wheels here. We're going to start out by spinning the player wheel. It almost feels like a draft a little bit. We get Tim Duncan, maybe the greatest power forward of all time. And he is going to be playing for the Detroit Pistons. So the Pistons, they don't do much in the offseason, but now guess what? They have one of the best ever. Tim Duncan's going to be their starting power forward. That's how we get it going today. We get James Harden. So James Harden is in the league, but I wouldn't say it's even close to prime James Harden. Let's see where prime James Harden is going to be playing next season. He's going to be playing on the Golden State Warriors. You're going to have Steph and James Harden as that backcourt. No more pods. No more lose now, win later. They are going to be ready to win next season. That's a great pick for James Harden. We have Larry freaking Bird, and he is going to be going to the Phoenix Suns. So the Suns don't have that great of a roster. Let's see how good Larry can make them. Prime D Rose. I mean, D Rose had one of the best MVP seasons. So electric. It sucks that he got hurt. In this universe, he is not hurt, and he's going to be playing with Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam on the Indiana Pacers. Steve Nash, one of the greatest passers in NBA history. Let's see if he gets put with somebody that he can pass to. He's going to be playing with Luka. This makes so much sense. We've heard the jokes about this upcoming Lakers team adding Steve Nash. That's just, honestly, there was no other way. Bill Walton. All right. So this was a little before my time, but we all know Bill Walton was an absolute baller. Let's see who he's playing for. He's going to be playing with the Memphis Grizzlies. That'll be an interesting team. All right. LeBron James. Once again, just like James Harden, LeBron is in the league still, but he's definitely not in his prime. He's 41, about to be 42. Where is prime LeBron going? He's going to the Brooklyn Nets. That's kind of nasty for LeBron. Not very fair, but similar to early on in his career, he's just going to have to will that team to be better. We get Bob McAdoo, one of the greatest big men in NBA history. He's going to be going to the Pelicans with Zion. That's an interesting duo there. Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. Let's see where he's playing at. He's going to be going to the defending champs, New York Knicks. So you're going to have Olajuwon and Karl Towns with Jalen Brunson. That might be your best team so far. That's ridiculous. Bob Pettit, an insane stat sheet stuffer, crazy rebound numbers. He's going to be playing for the LA Clippers. Next, we get Wes Unseld. Once again, a great big man from years back. He's going to be playing for the Charlotte Hornets. So the Hornets, once again, kind of get bamboozled there. Look, no disrespect to Wes Unseld, but there's so many great players here, and they end up with him. David Robinson. Somebody's about to get a dominant big. Let's see who it is. It would be crazy if the Spurs got him. They're not going to, but the Wizards are. You're going to have David Robinson, Anthony Davis, and Trae Young with AJ DeBonsa. That's going to be a nasty, nasty team. Bob Cousy, old school guard here, is going to be going to the Houston Rockets. I don't know what the fit is there, but hey, Cousy was a big time player. We got Steph. Some people may argue with me on this one. If you think I was wrong on this, put it in the comments. But I don't think Steph's still in his prime. He's still playing at a high level. I want to see MVP Steph on a team, and he's going to be going to the Sacramento Kings. Once again, LeBron and Steph are just going to have to wheel pretty bad rosters and see how well they can do. Charles Barkley. Let's see where Charles will go. He's going to the Sixers. All right, so they kind of got a loaded team. Charles might have to come off the bench. You got LeBron, you got Charles Barkley, you got Embiid, you got Maxey, you got Jaylen Brown. So probably the craziest starting five of all time. KD, once again, another player that's playing at a high level. But look, I've seen KD in his prime. He's not in his prime anymore. And he's going to the Celtics with Jason Tatum. That is absolutely nasty. That's a great duo. They're going to get buckets. Bill Russell, probably the greatest rebounder of all time. Definitely one of the greatest bigs of all time. He's going to be playing for the Timberwolves, and that's exactly what the Wolves need. They got plenty of guards with Anthony Edwards and LaMelo, and they just got one of the best rebounders of all time. Prime Russell Westbrook. We don't even know if Russ is going to be playing next year. Nobody's picked him up yet. In this universe, he's going to be balling out for the Portland Trailblazers. He's going to have to will that roster to some wins. Karl Malone. I'm not going to say anything good about Karl Malone. Hopefully he gets a bad team. He gets the Dallas Mavericks. Poor Cooper Flagg's going to have to play with him. Cooper's very young. Karl Malone will like that. Dirk, moving on. Dirk is going to be going to the Utah Jazz. Interesting fit. We're getting some of these teams that don't have great rosters right now, but they're going to be adding great players. Wilt Chamberlain. I've been watching some Wilt highlights today. Club 520 was watching it on their podcast. Wilt was very underrated. I know people have him in the top 5. I don't care. He might be a top 2 player of all time. And maybe the most talented team in the league is getting him. Oklahoma City is adding Wilt along with SGA, along with Chet Holmgren. That's going to be a ridiculous team. Oscar Robertson, the original triple-double guy, is going to be going to the Toronto Raptors. That'll be kind of nasty because Kawhi is going to be at Toronto. They haven't finalized that trade yet, but I believe they will. So in this universe, Kawhi will be on that team. Magic Johnson, a top 2 or 3 point guard of all time. I prefer Steph, but Magic's going to be going to the Cavaliers. Loaded backcourt there. That's going to be interesting. We got Willis Reed, one of the great bigs in the past, and he's going to be going to the Spurs. So the Spurs don't get one of the best players, but they get another big to put alongside Wemby. That's going to be interesting. Moses Malone, definitely one of the greatest bigs in NBA history, is going to be going to the Atlanta Hawks. All right. Nasty roster over there in Atlanta. Not horrible. Definitely not a championship roster right now, but maybe Moses can make them really, really great. Dr. J. All right, let's see where Dr. J is going to be ending up this upcoming season. He's going to be on the Bucks. Once again, probably maybe the worst roster in the league. Let's see what Dr. J can do there. All right, top 2 player of all time. Some people's GOAT. Let's see where MJ is going to end up. Michael Jordan is going with Jokic and Jamal Murray to the Nuggets. That's going to be a nasty, nasty team. Could be the best team in the league. I don't know. Philly's great. The Thunder are great. We got Kobe Bean Bryant. If he goes to Miami, that's going to be ridiculous. And he is going to Miami. You add with Giannis and Bam, you now get Kobe Bryant. That might be my favorite three in the league. That team is going to be ridiculous on defense and offense. Where is Kareem going? Kareem is going to be going to the Orlando Magic. Interesting there. Paolo gets somebody to play with him. All right. We only have one more spin because we only have one more team. Whoever we spin here is going to the Bulls. I hope we get AI or Kevin Garnett. No offense to Dave Cowens, but I have no interest in seeing him there. We are going to get AI to the Chicago Bulls. That'll be interesting with Giddey, with Caleb Wilson. That'll be a fun team. All right. So, what we have here, we have some interesting picks. It seems to me that Philly got better. It seems that the Thunder got better. The Miami Heat definitely got better. There's going to be some of these teams that are already stacked. I'm going to go in, I'm going to put all these players on their respective team, and then we're going to sim this, see which players dominate in this new sim, see which teams dominate, see who controls this universe of MVP Nation. All right, let me put the players on the teams, and then we'll hop in. All right, I have put all 30 MVPs on their respective teams. Let's jump into some of these rosters. All right, I have put all of these teams in one league. All right, remember, we have added all 30 MVPs to a current team. So let's check out some of these rosters. Some of these are absolutely stacked. Let's start out with the Philadelphia 76ers. You got Jaylen Brown, Charles Barkley, Tyrese Maxey, Embiid, LeBron. All right, so adding Charles Barkley to this already stacked team, they have 390 overalls and 289s. Absolutely ridiculous. Then the Bucks get Julius Erving to put alongside Kevin Porter Jr. The Bulls get Iverson beside Giddey, Bazelis, and Claxton and Caleb Wilson. You got Magic Johnson with Donovan Mitchell, Mobley, James Harden. KD on the Celtics with Jason Tatum. We got Bob Pettit with Brandon Ingram and Darius Garland. Bill Walton with Cedric Coward. Moses Malone with Jalen Johnson, Nikhil Alexander Walker, Lou Dort's now on the Hawks, CJ McCollum. That's a sneaky good Hawks team right there. All right, this is the insane team. I don't know who's stopping this team. I don't know who's scoring on this team. You have Kobe Bryant on the Heat, Giannis, and Bam. Now, they're not very deep. They do have Andrew Wiggins. They do have Davion Mitchell. But those top three, I don't know who can beat those top three. The Hornets have Wes Unseld with Brandon Miller and Conka Nipple. The Jazz have Dirk Nowitzki, Laurie Markkinen. So that's an interesting two similar type of players. Keontae George, Jaren Jackson, and you got rookie Darren Peterson. Then you got Steph on the Kings, but he doesn't have much to work with. Sabonis, Zach LaVine. You got Akeem Olajuwon on the defending champions with Jalen Brunson, Karl Towns, OG Anunoby. Then you get Luka and Steve Nash. Who's handling the ball? Who's bringing the ball up? I'm guessing they'll share it a little bit. But then you got Austin Reeves, Walker Kessler, Colin Sexton, nasty team. And here's an important thing I'm going to say. I'm not going to mess with how any of these teams do their lineup. If they want to put Steve Nash on the bench, they can put Steve Nash on the bench. If they want to play Steve Nash and Luka beside each other, whatever they want to do, whatever they do, I'm going to go along with it. You got the Orlando Magic who have Desmond Bain and Kareem, and then Franz Wagner, Paolo. You have Karl Malone on the Mavericks with Kyrie, Cooper Flag. That's kind of a nasty three. LeBron's on the Nets, but all he has is Michael Porter Jr., Igor Dimin, The Nuggets. This is another crazy one. This is a team with two 99s. All right. You got Jokic and Michael Jordan alongside Jamal Murray. Jokic and Michael Jordan. You heard me correctly. Can this team win it all? We will see. The Pacers have Derrick Rose, Halliburton, Nimhard. Pelicans have Bob McAdoo, DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy. The Pistons add Tim Duncan alongside their Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Asir Thompson. The Raptors get Oscar Robertson, Kawhi with Scotty Barnes. Rockets get Bob Cousy with Kevin Durant, Fred VanVleet. So if they're healthy and they add Bob Cousy, that's a pretty good team there. The Spurs get Willis Reed beside Wemby. Will they start both the centers? I don't know, but that's going to be a rebounding and defensive machine. Obviously, you got Castle, Harper. The Suns get Larry Bird with Devin Booker. I don't know how that's going to look. The Thunder get Wilt Chamberlain. You got SGA, Wilt, Jalen Williams, Chet, Jared McCain. That's a nasty, 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 nasty team. The Timberwolves get Bill Russell alongside Ant Edwards and LaMelo Ball this year. The Trailblazers get Prime Westbrook with Denny, Lillard. The Warriors get James Harden, Prime James Harden, with Steph and Jimmy Butler. And then the Wizards are going to get David Robinson to put alongside Anthony Davis, Trae Young, AJ DeBonsa. Listen, I think this Wizards team can be one of the most fun teams. Okay, they were kind of needing a center. You can now play AD at power forward. That's a great five they got there. What do you think the most fun teams are going to be? I mean, it seems like the Heat are going to be fun and good. It seems like the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be dominant. But where does Charles Barkley fall in? Does he go to the bench? Does LeBron go to the bench? Who's playing that power forward position? You have an absolute dominant Nuggets team with Michael Jordan and Jokic. You have a bunch of different teams here that can compete for a championship, but who will be the most dominant in this league, adding an MVP to their team? Let's see what happens. So here's what we're going to do. We're technically controlling the Heat. We're just going to hop in. We're going to sim to the trade deadline, and then we'll see where we're at there. All right, we are at the trade deadline, and by all these L's on your screen, you can see that this Miami Heat team with prime Kobe, prime Giannis, prime Bam are one of the worst teams in the league. They're 11th in the Eastern Conference, 23 and 29. What does that mean? That means this league is absolutely stacked, and you got to have a better team than just three players. You have to have a full stack team. Some of these lineups are insane. All five are around that 88 plus range. So the Miami Heat are just not good enough. So let's look at some of these records. If we go to the standings here, you see the Pistons with Tim Duncan are second. The Knicks, are first. The Knicks are second. The Cavs are third. The Hawks are fourth. The Sixers are fifth. So the Sixers, with all those great players, we already know how good this Sixers team can be. They add Charles Barkley, and they're fifth in the East. Fifth in the East. Okay? So let's look at some of these teams. So the Hawks that are fourth, their starting lineup is McCollum, Lou Dort, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Jalen Johnson, and Moses Malone. So Moses Malone made a big difference for the Hawks. I said at the beginning of this video that the Hawks were going to be a pretty good team. Then you got the Cavaliers. You got Magic, Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. And James Harden has finally accepted his role and okay with coming off the bench, it seems, in this universe. The Knicks have Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, and Akeem Olajuwon. Then you got Josh Hart coming off the bench, Jose Alvarado. So a very good seven there. And Akeem Olajuwon obviously is making the Knicks dominant. And then for the Pistons, you get Cade, Isaiah Joe, Duncan Robinson, Tim Duncan, and Jalen Duren with Asar coming off the bench. So a great six right there. Now let's look at the Western Conference. We have the Thunder at 45-7. If you remember right, the Thunder added Wilt Chamberlain. So they're going with SGA, AJ Mitchell, Jalen Williams, Chet, and Wilt. And then you got Jared McCain coming off the bench, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso. A ridiculous lineup for the Thunder. With the Spurs, you get Dylan Harper, Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle, Willis Reed, and Victor. The Timberwolves, they added Bill Russell. The Suns in fourth added Larry Bird. I'm kind of shocked by that Suns team. Now, the Denver Nuggets team with Jordan and Jokic are fifth. So that's 2 5 seeds that are dominant on each side, or you would think they would be dominant by their roster because they have Jamal Murray, Michael Jordan, Peyton Watson, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. And then you got the Trailblazers, the Lakers, and the Grizzlies. Let's see who the Lakers are playing. The Lakers have Luka coming off the bench. Would I do that? I would not. But I told you I was going to let 2K control it. Does 2K always make sense? They don't. But Luka coming off the bench is absolutely insane. We'll see how it fares for them the rest of the season. Okay, let's look at some of the league leaders. Wow. So, based on this, you don't have a bunch of guys scoring a lot of points. Now, why is that, you ask? Because if you have multiple Hall of Famers on each team, multiple great players, multiple guys in their prime, a lot of teams have multiple MVPs, maybe even 3 MVPs. Everybody can't score 35 a game. Everybody can't score 30 a game. So, what that leaves is Donovan Mitchell leading the NBA in scoring. Michael Jordan in second, Bob Pettit, Russell Westbrook, Nikola Jokic. So Jordan and Jokic on the Nuggets are top 5, but their team's not one of the, top 3 best teams in their conference. Wemby and then Harden, then Ant Edwards. Let's see who the top rebounders are. Bill Russell, Bob Pettit, Elijah Wan, Moses Malone, and Tim Duncan. Best assist guys in the league are Magic, Jokic, Cade, Kyrie, Bob Cousy. Steve Nash sneaks in there at number 7. Top steals guys are Michael Jordan's, top blocks, Bill Russell, and Giannis. So, interesting. We are at the halfway point of the season. Let's see how this shapes out. We are going to sim for the rest of the season, see where everything lands, see who the best teams are, who the best players are, and then we're going to jump into the playoffs. All right, and we are finished with the regular season. As you see, Bill Russell wins MVP, averaging 18, 14, 8, 3 blocks a game, almost 2 steals a game. Insane. Your rookie of the year is Bill Russell, technically in the game because I added him on. He's a rookie. 6th man of the year is Luka. So off the bench for the Lakers, Luka averaged 19, pretty much 5 and 6. Defense player of the year is Bill Russell. So it seems like the best player in this sim is Bill Russell. Bozelis gets most improved player. Moses Malone averages 22 and 11 to get clutch player of the year. Coach of the year is OKC. Executive of the year for OKC. Wilt Chamberlain won Cup MVP. So before we get into first team and everything, I do want to say I turned off injuries, I turned off trades, so everybody should still be on their original team and nobody should have got injured. So this should be a good feel of if these players were dropped in the NBA and they were healthy in their prime, what it would look like. So let's look at all NBA first team. Bill Russell, Jokic, Magic, Victor Wembanyama, Charles Barkley. So Charles Barkley balls out, right? He is on first team All NBA, even though the Sixers, we'll have to go back and look at the standings, but even though from at the trade deadline, the Sixers were not one of the, top 3 teams in their conference. All NBA second teams, Bob Pettit, Hakeem, Wilt, Karl Towns, and Russell Westbrook. So Hakeem and Karl Towns from the Knicks end up on an All NBA team. And then third team is Cade, SGA, Giannis, Kareem, Anthony Edwards. Look at all defensive team. You got Bill Russell, OG, Hakeem, Michael Jordan, Wembanyama, Giannis, Kareem, Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, Charles Barkley. I'm not going to look at rookie teams because it isn't accurate. All right. So I do want to look at some of these standings real quick to see how everything plays. So that Knicks team that we knew was going to be really good because they added Hakeem is first seed, Tim Duncan and the Pistons. Second seed, then you got the Hawks. The Sixers move up to 4th. Cavaliers, Raptors, Hornets sneak in. I think Wes Unseld. Yep. Wes Unseld was their MVP, so I didn't think that team would be great, but they sneak into the playoffs. Pacers, Wizards, and the Miami Heat. That Heat team with Kobe, Giannis, and Bam is going to be a play-in team. That is how stacked this roster is. All right, let's look at the West. The Thunder go 71-11. The Spurs go 66-16. The Timberwolves are third. The Suns fourth. Nuggets fifth. Then Rockets. Then Trailblazers. Then Warriors. Then Lakers. Then Memphis Grizzlies. So kind of no shocks, I would say. Your worst teams were the Kings. They added Steph, I think. Yeah, but that roster just was not good. Your worst team and the East was the Brooklyn Nets. So they added LeBron, but once again, that roster was just awful. So yeah, nothing too crazy here. KD and Jason Tatum did not do much at all. Trying to see. So that Kyrie, Cooper Flag, and Karl Malone trio didn't really perform. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into the playoffs, but first we are going to look at our league leaders to end the year. So Donovan Mitchell did lead the league in scoring. Bill Russell led the league in rebounds, Magic in assists, Iverson in steals, and Bill Russell in blocks. So our first play-in game looks like it's going to be Portland versus Golden State. Then you got the Lakers versus Memphis. Then on this side of the bracket, you got Charlotte versus Indiana and Washington versus Miami. So we're going to sub these play-in games just to see who actually gets into the playoffs. All right. So the Miami Heat, I can't say it enough. The Miami Heat with prime Kobe, prime Giannis, and prime Bam did not make the playoffs. They lost in the play-in game as the 10 seed. So what you get here is you get the OKC Thunder versus the Golden State Warriors, Phoenix versus Denver, Minnesota versus Houston, the Spurs versus the Trailblazers. On the Eastern Conference side, you have the Knicks versus the Wizards, Philly versus Cleveland, Atlanta versus Toronto, and Detroit versus Indiana. So we're going to sim some of this, see if any go to a game 7. If they do, we'll hop in, see what's going on. All right, one of the most interesting matchups, in my opinion, of this first round are the Knicks versus the Wizards. On the Knicks side, you got Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG, Karl Towns, and Hakeem. On the Wizards side, you got Trae Young, Keyshawn George, AJ DeBonsa, Anthony Davis, and David Robinson. This is one of the most interesting teams. So we're going to simcast that game and see if it can get close. The Knicks are up 3-1. The Knicks are a little older, a little bit more experienced. But if it gets close, we will hop in and just see what's going on and what this matchup looks like. All right, this game is not even going to be close. We're going to sim it, but the Knicks blow out the Wizards by 24 points. So that should tell you how good the Knicks are to close out the round. All right, the only game we have left, the only series we have left, there were no games that went to 7 yet. Let's see. Okay, so no series in the first round went to 7 games. What you have left is you have OKC versus Phoenix. You have San Antonio versus Minnesota. You have the Knicks versus Philly and Detroit versus Toronto. Some things that already pop out is that Knicks versus Philadelphia should be fun. This OKC versus the Suns and then San Antonio versus Minnesota. All of those should be a lot of fun. We're going to sim a couple games, see if any are close, and then we'll hop into 1 or 2. All right, the first big thing is OKC swept the Suns. Let's see what happened in the series. So the closeout game, Mikal Bridges drops 22, Booker 20, Larry Bird with 16. But for the Thunder, SGA drops 23, 6, and 7 with 4 steals, and Wilt drops 23 and 9. Absolutely insane. Now, for our other series, you have Minnesota up 3-1 on the Spurs. You have the Knicks down 1-2 against Philly, and then you have Detroit and Toronto all tied up. So Minnesota beat San Antonio in 5. Let's look at the closeout game and what happened. In this closeout game, it was a very, very, very close one. The Timberwolves won by 1. Willis Reed drops 24-11. Devin Vassell drops 19-3. Wemby only has 17-9 and 5 turnovers, so not a great game. Anthony Edwards for the Timberwolves drops 34, 7, and 8. Bill Russell with 18, 13, and 7 with 7 blocks. Okay. So Ant Edwards and Bill Russell is a crazy duo. LaMelo doesn't score a lot, but does get 10 assists, which is probably what you need from him in this type of sim. Okay. What we have right now, the West is settled. It's going to be OKC versus Minnesota, but we still have Philly versus New York. Philly's up 3-1. And then we have a tied up series with Detroit versus Toronto. Let's simcast this closeout game for Philly versus New York. I would like to jump in if it gets close. All right, we're going to jump in with about 5 minutes if it's close. Let's see. It is not close. It looks like the Knicks are going to pull this one out and extend the series. All right. Box score wise for this, the Knicks win by 19. Jalen Brunson drops 33-7. OG drops 27-12, and Akeem drops 24-14. Okay. And then for Philly, VJ Edgecombe drops 21, Jaylen Brown 18, LeBron 17, 5 and 4, Maxey 14, 7 and 6, and Charles only dropped 9 and 12, but he did have 8 rebounds too. Okay. So we have two. Right now, series going to 6 games. Let's see what happens. We're going to simcast this again to see if we can jump in. We got a 3-point game with 2 minutes to go. We're going to jump in, see what we got here. Let's get our settings right real quick. Make sure we're not playing on either side. Our camera's good. Let's see what happens here. All right. Edgecombe gets the ball. Dribbling out up top. Being guarded by Mikal Bridges. Tyrese Maxey dribbling. Being guarded by Brunson. He comes off the pick. Maxey fakes. And Walker with the slam. Okay. The Sixers are up 5. Wow, what a wild pass. But Olajuwon grabs it and cuts it to 3. 2 minutes to go. Knicks down 3. Maxey bringing the ball up the court. Dribbling. Brunson. Let's see if Brunson can hold him. Ooh, Maxey goes in. Maxey powers in for the layup. All right. Sixers up 5 with 1:50. Brunson bringing the ball down the court, being guarded by Maxey. Let's see what he decides to do with it. He throws it down to Olajuwon. Olajuwon with the dream shake, puts it up, and cuts it to 3. The Knicks need a stop. 1 minute, 35 seconds to go. Maxey's dribbling the ball up the court, being guarded by Brunson. He takes it in. Maxey's putting on a show, throws it to LeBron, throws it to Edgecombe, down to Brown. Brown driving in with the mid-range jump shot. He misses it. Olajuwon with the rebound, passes it out to Brunson. Brunson brings the ball up the court. Let's see what we get here. Brunson dribbles up, pass it to Akeem again. Let's see if Akeem can go to work. He is absolutely dominating down there. Cuts it to 109-108. Philly in the lead with 1 minute to go. Maxey bringing the ball up the court, goes inside, goes against Brunson, and gets fouled. Brunson has 3 fouls. Under 1 minute to go. Let's see if Maxey can knock these free throws down. Maxey shoots the first one, and he goes up 2. So Philly's up 110-108. Dean Wade checks into the game. Maxey with his second, and he does knock it down to extend the lead to 3 with just under 1 minute to go. Brunson bringing the ball up to the court. Let's see what the Knicks go for. They call a timeout. We're back. OG's taking the ball out. Brunson trying to get open. He does pass it into Brunson. Brunson is on the corner. OG, then Mikal Bridges. Bridges throws it into Olajuwon. Olajuwon's been dominated, but he's being guarded by LeBron. But LeBron is no match for the Dream. It's a 1-point game, 40 seconds to go. Let's see what Philly does. Maxey's dribbling up top. Looks like we got a little bit of action off the ball. LeBron sets the screen. Maxey pulls up for the three, and he misses. Towns with the rebound, passes to Mikal Bridges. Bridges quickly coming up the court. 20 seconds to go. OG with the ball. OG dribbles off the screen. OG with the mid range, and he makes it. Knicks go up one with 13 seconds to go, and the Sixers call a timeout. Who are the Sixers going to go to? They have so many options here. Jaylen Brown, LeBron, even Charles Barkley's on this team. We will see what they go for. All right, we're back from the timeout. Dean Wade taking the ball out to Maxey. Maxey dribbles it. We got 10 seconds left. Maxey, 7 seconds left. He takes it in. He passes out LeBron. LeBron misses it. And the 76ers foul with 1.9 seconds left. We are going to be having Jalen Brunson with the game on the line. And he hits it to go up 2. 113 to 111. Let's see if he hits the second. He does hit the second. 76ers call a timeout. Knicks up 3, 114 to 111, 1.9 seconds left. Who do the 76ers go with here? Do they want LeBron taking the shot? That's who they threw it to last time. Do they want Maxey? Jaylen Brown? Do they bring Charles Barkley out? Do they have Joel Embiid shoot a three? We have plenty of options here. Let's see what they go with. 1.9 seconds left. Dean Wade takes the ball inbounds. He passes it in to Tyrese Maxey. Maxey doesn't get a shot off. He pumps, and he gets no shot off. These New York Knicks are going to extend this game to 7. Let's see who can pull it out. All right, let's look at some of this box score. Jaylen Brown with 21 and 9. Maxey with 19 and 10, but a horrible choke job, not even getting a shot off. Edgecombe with 16, Dean Wade with 11, Charles Barkley with 9, 6 to 7. LeBron doesn't have a great one. Olajuwon dominates with 26 and 10. Karl Towns 24 and 8. You got like the Twin Towers down there dominating. Jalen Brunson with 19 and 8. OG with 13 and 10. All right. Great game 6. So the Pistons advance against Toronto. Let's see who's going to win this game 7. So the Knicks come back from down 3-1 to take out Philadelphia. Your Eastern Conference Finals is going to be New York versus Detroit and OKC versus Minnesota on the Western Conference side. Let's see what these series go to. All right, so OKC, that 71-11 dominant team with Wilt, is up 3-0 on Minnesota. Will OKC sweep the Timberwolves? All right, so your Western Conference Finals MVP is Wilt with 20, 12, 2 blocks, almost 2 steals, and 4 assists. Your Eastern Conference Finals MVP is Cade Cunningham with 27, 5, and 8. So insane stats from both of them. Let's advance your finals. Both Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals were gentlemen sweeps. So you're going to get the Thunder versus the Pistons in the championship. We started here. We had each team added an MVP. We didn't know what was going to happen. I thought the Heat would be good. I thought Philadelphia would be dominant. Some of these teams that are probably going to be good anyways this upcoming season, but you get the Thunder and the Pistons, 2 teams that were really good this past season. They're continuing it on with their MVPs this season. Let's see how many games this goes. Thunder win game 1. Let's see what happens. In game 1, Wilt drops 33 and 15. Cason Wallace with a huge game with 27. The Pistons, Tim Duncan drops 16 and 13. And Kevin Huerter has 15. All right. Sim game 2. Thunder go up 2-0. Thunder go up 3-0. We're going to have to jump into this. The Thunder might just be too dominant. You did add Wilt to this already dominant team. Let's see what happens in game 4. We're going to sim it with SimCast. It looks like OKC is going to finish the season out as just the most dominant team in this league, adding Wilt with SGA, with Cason Wallace, with Chet. But let's sim it a little bit more. We are going to jump in just to see OKC win it all. We're hopping in with 22 seconds to go. OKC's up 14. I just wanted to see them win the championship. Jared McCain's dribbling the ball up top. He's probably going to dribble it out. So The Oklahoma City Thunder with Wilt Chamberlain are going to be the best team in this MVP era. We added an MVP to every team. OKC was already dominant. They got lucky with one of the greatest, if not the greatest, big men of all time. They're going to win the championship. Absolutely dominant. 71-11 regular season. I don't think any team in the playoffs won more than one game against them. They're defeating the Detroit Pistons with Tim Duncan. You had Cason Wallace, SGA, Wilt, Caruso. This team was just too dominant. Jared McCain's in there. This was a fun series. As you see, if you add an already dominant big man, a former MVP, to an already dominant team, you're probably going to get an NBA championship and one of the greatest dominant teams of all time. There's Wilt standing with Adam Silver. I would not expect anybody else to get finals MVP. Wilt's one of the greatest of all time. Was watching some Wilt highlights recently, and he was absolutely dominant. All right, so let's look at some of these stats from the last game of the season. OKC wins the championship. Cade had 27-6. Jenkins with 15-4, and Tim Duncan with a measly 13-8. On the Thunder side, Shea had 16, 6, and 5. Jalen Williams with 16 and 6. Wilt with 15, 11, and 3 blocks. Chet with 13 and 6. So such an even, balanced, dominant OKC team. Let's advance. So what we get here is we get a dominant OKC team. We get Wilt winning Finals MVP, averaging 25, 12, and 3, 2.5 steals, 2.8 blocks. An absolutely dominant display. This was a fun one. We added all type of great players to the current NBA teams. I just wanted to see how it would shake up. You got prime Russell Westbrook, prime Wilt, prime LeBron, prime Kobe, all these players being added to the current NBA landscape. And what you end up with is still an OKC Thunder championship. They took a year off. They come back for revenge and they dominate. Please return. Please make sure you like. Please like and subscribe. We will be back. See you soon.